Welcome to the weather forecast on the CHA TV channel. Dear friends, we're breaking down what you need to know about the weather that will affect the United States over the next 7 days. Note, another dangerous storm system will impact the United States over the next few days, bringing with it another threat of significant severe weather, including damaging winds, very large hail, and the possibility of a few tornadoes. We'll start with what's happening across the country today. Right now, we have storms that have continued over the last 12 to 24 hours. Severe weather is extending from the Midwest all the way down to the southern plains, and all of that is in the Ohio Valley and the Tennessee Valley. This has been a battleground for the past few days when it comes to storms breaking out. And this high-pressure system that's even around it has actually produced some storms, including some small gusts over the last 24 hours across the mid-Atlantic and southeast. And we expect that pattern to continue for another day or two. But as we head into tonight, tomorrow, and even into Sunday, we'll have some major storm systems across the Central Plains and the northern Midwest, and also back into some of the Ohio Valley. Then early next week, we'll have some severe weather across the East Coast again. Now, let's talk more about the severe weather potential over the next couple of days. Starting today, we've got a tornado outbreak across the Dakotas and Nebraska and even western Minnesota. And another storm actually back into eastern Michigan, and then a major marginal threat that covers most of the East Coast with the exception of the coastline. So anywhere inland away from the East Coast is under this marginal threat of severe weather. So the main concern today is going to be damaging winds for both of those risk areas. In fact, we have a 20% wind risk moving into North Dakota and South Dakota, as well as northern Nebraska, where damaging winds could reach 70 to 85 miles per hour today. And large to very large hail will also be a big concern. We could easily have hail the size of baseballs. Then on Saturday, the severe weather threat will really continue mostly across the Midwest, where we have another level 2 out of 5 slight risk of severe weather. We'll see some large hail and wind out west and right in Minneapolis in the late afternoon and early evening. But regardless, we'll still see at least some scattered severe weather on Saturday, with strong winds, large hail, and a possible isolated tornado or two. We also have a small threat in the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. We have a chance for scattered strong winds, but we think we'll at least see an expansion of that 3% tornado risk to include areas like the Twin Cities back into southwest Minnesota. Wouldn't even rule out a 5% tornado risk in the outlook, so we'll definitely be keeping a close eye on Saturday. And then as we head into Sunday, the threat of severe weather will continue across the Midwest back into the Central Plains, where scattered damaging winds, hail, and isolated tornadoes are possible. I think Sunday will be windy and hail, but it doesn't look like a major tornado day to me so far. But I think we'll see more isolated to scattered severe weather anywhere from the Central Plains all the way down into the Ohio Valley. But overall, scattered to widespread damaging winds will be the main concern across this region. We could see a couple of isolated areas of tornado risk, maybe one in the Central Plains and one in the Ohio Valley. But overall, it doesn't look like a big day at this point, but this is the area we need to pay attention to. Now, let's take a look at the day-by-day timing of the severe weather, starting with what's going on today. We're expecting to see maybe 1 or 2 isolated storms forming in South Dakota this afternoon and this evening. Around 8 to 9 o'clock, the strong winds will continue to move eastward with very large hail and a low risk of tornadoes. And then around 10 to 11 o'clock, we'll see a large cluster of storms coalescing across eastern North Dakota, and it's still going to have the potential for a lot of damaging winds and maybe even a tornado or two as it heads toward Fargo and Grand Forks in North Dakota. Then finally, in the nighttime hours, that line of storms will start to move into Minnesota. It could move into the Twin Cities early Saturday morning, but we think the overall threat of severe weather will be much lower. Isolated damaging winds will still be the main concern if this is still severe at that point. And in addition to the severe weather that will be back in the northern plains today, we'll have a couple of severe storms coming back into Michigan late this afternoon around 3 to 4 o'clock, with damaging winds being the main concern among any storms that form. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a very low-level tornado threat, but it would be a very, very low threat. Not really something that would cover a very large area in the thumb of Michigan. Then eventually those storms will move into Ontario for about 7 to 8 o'clock, then back into the northern Ohio Valley. Some isolated storms are possible, with damaging winds being a concern. That's the general picture across the Ohio Valley today. So definitely make sure you're indoors. If the thunder's roaring, come inside today here across the Ohio Valley. Then tonight, around 8, 9 o'clock, most of the storms will dissipate, and we really won't have much time left by about 10 to 11 o'clock tonight. As we move into Saturday, there's going to be another severe weather threat across the Midwest. After this cluster moves through in the morning, the atmosphere will once again become unstable, and we're expecting more scattered severe storms to break out across parts of Minnesota in the mid to late afternoon and early evening. One of those will be just west of the two cities with very large hail, strong winds, and maybe an isolated tornado or two. But that will be downgraded to hurricane status if these storms gather and coalesce very quickly. The tornado threat will be low, but if it can get a little more discreet in the afternoon, we could see a tornado or two. Then also in northern Minnesota, we're expecting at least 1 or 2 storms that will produce some large hail, damaging winds, and a low risk of tornadoes around 8 to 9. Those storms are moving right through those two cities and into western Wisconsin. A couple more storms will also break out across Nebraska and South Dakota. The storms will weaken in Wisconsin around midnight, but damaging winds and isolated hail will still be a threat in central and northern Wisconsin late in the evening and overnight. As we head into Sunday, the threat of severe weather will continue across the Midwest, where damaging winds and hail are possible from those storms that break out. We could see an isolated tornado or two, but overall we think we're going to have a lot of wind and hail, and those storms will be pretty chaotic on Sunday. So that's just a general note. Additionally, our upper airflow will be coming in more from the north and northwest, which will bring more threats here with strong winds and widespread hail. This area of storms will be mostly present throughout the afternoon and will dissipate around 8, 9 o'clock across the Midwest. Back in the Central Plains, a line of storms will break out around 3, 4 with strong winds and hail potential. Overall, the tornado threat is again very low across the Central Plains, but not zero. Then around 8, 9, those storms will start to move south across Kansas, where strong winds could continue. And we could even see storms moving as far south as Oklahoma as we head into early Monday morning. But overall, the severe weather threat will be low at that point. As we head into Monday, but overall, severe weather on Monday will be isolated or scattered from the Central Plains back into the Ohio Valley, with strong winds, hail, and a low risk of tornadoes. As we head into Tuesday and Wednesday, things really start to calm down. So around or shortly after July 4, we could see another storm system or two return to the Midwest and Northern Plains, with all the severe weather potential still present. Overall, though, this weather pattern looks like it will remain active as we head into mid-July. So definitely be prepared for that. We will continuously update the storm situation in the next news. Please subscribe to the channel to follow. Thank you for watching the news on CIA TV channel.